Welcome to the deep dive. Today we are hacking the secret to, well, massive personal change. And we're going to explore how achieving really remarkable results doesn't necessarily require blowing up your whole life. Sometimes it just requires starting incredibly small.
Exactly. And I think that's crucial, especially when you're caught in that, intense pressure cooker of being a busy parent,
Here.
or maybe juggling endless family schedules, or running a business, or, let's be honest, often both.
Right.
You might feel like any real transformation needs some huge, overwhelming time investment you just don't have.
Hmm.
But our sources this week, they're excerpts from Transform Your Life, 5 Daily Habits for Remarkable Results in 30 Days. And they argue something different. They say the true power lies in consistency. And interestingly, leveraging brain science.
Okay, so the mission for this deep dive is to pull out the most actionable, the most profound insights on how 5 maybe tiny, consistent daily habits can actually leverage our own biology.
Yeah, for both professional and personal transformation.
Yeah.
And all within just 1 month.
30 days. That's quite a promise, which is why we absolutely have to start with the foundation here, the science behind it.
Right. And this is where it gets really interesting, I think. This isn't just, a random list of self-help tips. The whole framework is really anchored in a core mechanism of the human brain, neuroplasticity.
We've touched on neuroplasticity before, but it's always fascinating.
It is. And what's particularly compelling here is how quickly the sources suggest we can harness it.
Okay, let's unpack that a little. We know neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to adapt, to change itself. But what does 30 days of small habits actually do? Structurally, I mean.
It essentially creates a new default pathway. Our sources confirm that our brains are constantly, literally rewiring themselves based on repeated behaviors, repeated thoughts.
Hmm.
So think of your current habits, the automatic ones, like these really well-paved highways in your brain. They're easy, they're fast to travel down.
Makes sense.
Now, when you introduce a positive new habit, well, that's initially just like a small, muddy footpath. It takes effort.
Yeah, definitely feels like that sometimes.
If you walk that footpath consistently, day after day, even for just 30 days, the brain physically strengthens the neural pathway for that new behavior. It starts paving that path.
Ah, okay. So those tiny 15-minute changes we're going to talk about aren't just temporary actions. They're like structural investments in our own brains.
Exactly. You are literally rebuilding the brain's infrastructure over potentially just 1 month.
Wow.
It turns these small, intentional actions into really foundational shifts. And this whole concept of consistency, of structure, it brings us right to habit number 1, establishing rituals.
Okay, but consistency, that's often the first thing to go out the window, right?
Yeah.
Especially for our audience. I mean, a parent dealing with a sick kid or a business owner facing some sudden crisis. Consistency can feel like an impossible luxury then.
That's a really fair point. And the sources, they argue that consistency isn't really about perfection. It's more about providing stability,
Stability, okay.
especially, say, for children who really thrive on routine. And for business owners who need those predictable pockets of energy and focus just to manage everything.
Right.
And the starting mechanism for building this stability, it's the morning ritual. Specifically, habit 1, establishing a morning routine to boost productivity.
I can almost hear listeners thinking, are you kidding? I already wake up at 5 a.m. just to get a jump on emails. I can't possibly wake up earlier.
And that's precisely the pain point these sources address. The goal isn't just to be awake earlier, it's about shifting the start of your day from being purely reactive to being intentional.
Okay, shifting from reactive to intentional. I like that.
They advise waking up earlier, yes, but maybe only 20 minutes earlier. Just enough to claim some quiet time for yourself. But crucially, this routine needs to have 3 strategic elements.
Okay, what are they?
First, movement. And they're not demanding you run a marathon before dawn.
Good.
They emphasize incorporating physical activity, but even just 15 minutes of pretty low-impact movement. Think a brisk walk, some stretching, maybe a short yoga flow.
15 minutes, that feels doable.
And that 15 minutes is significant because it's achievable and predictable. That short burst of movement, first thing, it immediately boosts your energy, your mental clarity, mainly by increasing blood flow to the brain.
Makes sense. Okay, movement first. What's next?
Next is strategic fueling. The routine should include eating a healthy breakfast, specifically one focused on protein, healthy fats, and whole grains. The idea is sustained energy release.
Right. So you're not crashing by 10 a.m.
Exactly. If you start your day running on complex fuel, your focus is already ahead of the game.
Okay, movement fuel. What's the third leg?
This one might be the real anchor, especially for anyone suffering from decision fatigue later in the day. It's setting intentions.
Intentions, how?
Simply writing down your top 3 priorities for the day. Just 3.
Oh, interesting. Not the whole to-do list.
No, that's key. This simple act, they argue, drastically reduces that cortisol spike, that feeling of overwhelm that comes from staring at a massive list first thing.
Yeah.
It streamlines your decision-making for the rest of the day.
That clarity, that moment of just self-direction first thing, it feels like an act of proactive calm, which actually seems like a perfect bridge to habit number 2.
It really is. Yeah, if you connect that intention setting to the bigger picture, it is an act of focused awareness. And habit 2 is all about cultivating that awareness through daily mindfulness practices, primarily for stress relief and clarity.
Mindfulness. In a world that feels like it's built on constant alerts and, frankly, breakneck speed, finding balance can sometimes sound like a fantasy. Why is this daily practice so essential, especially for high-achieving people?
Think of it as your physiological firewall. These practices, even short ones, they activate what scientists call the parasympathetic nervous system.
That's the rest and digest system, right? The opposite of fight or flight.
Exactly, your body's rest and digest switch. Dedicating just a few minutes a day to purposefully flicking that switch, it cultivates a kind of calm center. It builds resilience so you start navigating the chaos instead of just being consumed by it.
So we're talking simple techniques here, not like hour-long silent meditations unless you want that.
Definitely simple to start. Begin with mindful breathing. Just focusing completely on your breath. Maybe inhale through the nose, slow exhale through the mouth, just to physically ground yourself in the present moment.
Okay.
Or you could try mindful walking. Really paying attention to the sensation of your feet hitting the ground, the sights, the sounds around you, rather than being lost in thought.
And I like that the sources insist these practices don't have to be confined to some special quiet time slot you might not have. They suggest using daily transition moments too.
That's such a key insight for busy people. Use your existing schedule. Like, practice a quick mindful check-in. Just a short pause during the day, maybe while you're waiting for a meeting to start or your coffee to brew.
What do you do in that check-in?
Just briefly assess your current feelings, your thoughts, without judging them. Just noticing. Okay, feeling a bit stressed right now. That's it. Awareness.
And, crucially, the sources also recommend a nightly practice, gratitude.
Yes. Each evening, just taking a moment to reflect on, say, 3 things that went well that day or 3 things you're genuinely thankful for, even if the day itself was really challenging.
That simple, consistent shift of focus, away from the stressors, the things that went wrong, towards the positives. That sounds like a powerful tool for rewiring the brain towards maybe a bit more optimism.
It absolutely is. And what really stands out in the source material is how this internal clarity, this shift, almost immediately impacts your external interactions, your relationships.
Ah, right. It becomes easier to actually be present with people.
Exactly. Mindfulness enhances relationships
Yeah.
because it naturally encourages empathy. When you find you are truly present, actively listening, not just waiting for your turn to talk or formulating your rebuttal,
Guilty as charged sometimes.
we all are, but when you are listening, your interactions just become richer. Whether that's with a stressed employee who needs support or your child who needs your undivided attention for 5 minutes.
That profound connection between our internal state and our external interactions. That brings us very neatly to the most relationship-focused habit on the list. Habit 3, simple acts of kindness.
Yeah, making kindness a deliberate daily ritual. It might seem soft, almost peripheral, but the sources frame it as absolutely crucial, both for leadership effectiveness and just personal fulfillment.
Why is it so powerful?
Because it creates this powerful positive ripple effect. It benefits the giver, physiologically and emotionally, just as much, if not more, sometimes, than the receiver.
Okay.
And for, say, a business owner or a manager, the impact can be really tangible. Consistent, genuine kindness, not performative stuff, fosters trust, boosts collaboration, and helps build a thriving workplace culture far more effectively than some top-down mandate about morale.
So beyond the classic example of like holding a door open, what are some easy, maybe high-leverage acts of kindness we can actually implement in a professional setting or even as parents?
It often boils down to intentional recognition and presence. For instance, offering sincere, specific compliments, not just a generic good job, but, hey, I noticed you handled that really tough client call yesterday with remarkable patience and skill.
That specificity makes a difference.
Huge difference. Or practicing active listening, like one just talked about. Really showing someone you value their thoughts, their perspective. That's a powerful, often overlooked form of kindness. or even just setting a daily intention to perform at least one deliberate act. Could be sending a quick, thoughtful text or email, just expressing appreciation to a colleague. Or maybe helping a family member with a chore without being prompted or expecting anything back.
That reframes kindness, doesn't it? Less of a grand occasional gesture and more like a daily micro-win. Something that strengthens social bonds and, well, frankly, probably floods your own system with feel-good neurochemicals, reducing your personal stress.
Absolutely. The source material really emphasizes that these acts are self-reinforcing. You do something kind, you feel good, which makes you maybe a bit more patient, which strengthens your own resilience. It's a kind of positive neuroplastic loop in action.
Okay, a positive neuroplastic loop. I like that. Now let's pivot. We need to cover the fourth area of transformation, which might feel very different from kindness and mindful breathing, but requires the exact same level of daily consistency. Habit 4, daily financial habits, aimed at long-term stability.
Yeah, this is obviously a massive source of stress for so many people, especially busy professionals and parents. Consistency in financial habits is just vital for long-term success. It leads to significant savings over time, yes, but perhaps even more importantly, it brings peace of mind.
Peace of mind around money, that's huge. But many listeners might be thinking, look, I check my bank balance once a week, maybe glance at my credit card statement online. Isn't that enough?
Well, the sources argue pretty strongly that it's the daily check-in, however brief, that makes the real difference. Why? Because it systematically relieves the massive mental load created by financial uncertainty or avoidance.
Avoidance, yeah, that's a big one.
It is. So the starting point is always understanding your actual financial landscape, knowing clearly, here's my income, here are my expenses, here's my debt, and then setting clear, measurable goals based on that reality.
And the specific daily practice they really champion is tracking, daily tracking.
Yes, tracking your spending daily. Whether you use an app, a spreadsheet, even just a small notebook, this practice forces a moment of mindfulness around your spending habits. You see where the money's actually going every single day.
Which connects right back to habit 2, mindfulness.
Exactly. By applying that mindful approach to financial decisions, you naturally start to cut down on impulsive, maybe stress-driven spending. And the key here, again, is micro goals. Setting realistic, measurable, small goals. Like committing to save $10 a day, or identifying one specific area like coffee's out, and deciding to reduce spending there by a small, achievable margin each week.
It's those micro goals, isn't it? They make the macro goal, like long-term financial security, feel actually achievable within, say, 30 days of starting the habit.
Totally. You get to celebrate a small victory every single day you hit that $10 savings mark or stick to your coffee budget. And that fuels motivation without the crushing weight of trying to, I don't know, save a massive lump sum all at once.
Right. It prevents that overwhelm that makes you just give up.
Precisely. You're empowering yourself bit by bit to take control. And that dramatically reduces that ambient background financial stress that plagues so many people, especially business owners managing cash flow or parents juggling budgets.
Okay. So we have the core habits laid out. A structured morning routine for productivity, daily mindfulness for inner calm, simple acts of kindness for better relationships, and daily financial diligence for stability. These are the tools. Now, how do we make sure this transformation actually sticks beyond the first exciting week? That's segment 4, sustaining the change.
Yeah, the 30-day plan provides the initial structure, but real success requires ongoing assessment and, well, adaptation. You absolutely must break down those larger habit goals into manageable daily actions.
Like we talked about with finance and kindness.
Exactly. If your goal is relationship enhancement through kindness, don't just vaguely hope to be kinder. Set a specific, trackable intention each day. Today, I will actively listen without interrupting during my team meeting, or I will express specific appreciation to my partner.
Accountability is huge too, isn't it?
Crucial. The source material strongly advises sharing your goals. Tell a friend, a family member, maybe a colleague or a mentor. Just knowing someone else is aware, maybe even invested in your success, creates that vital external layer of commitment. It helps keep you going when your own internal motivation inevitably dips.
We all have those days.
We all do. And related to that, we absolutely must talk about reflection. The sources push this hard.
How so?
They suggest keeping some kind of journal or log. Doesn't have to be fancy. Just track your experiences briefly. Note your progress. Identify patterns. What time of day does my focus usually drop? What kind of act of kindness actually gave me the biggest mood boost this week?
Hmm.
You then regularly review that progress, maybe weekly, and adjust your strategies as needed. It's meant to be an evolution, not some rigid, fixed script you follow perfectly or fail.
And here's where it gets really interesting, I think, regarding setbacks. Because setbacks will happen.
Guaranteed.
The advice isn't to strive for perfection, is it? It's about how you frame the failure.
Exactly. It's about maintaining a positive, or at least neutral and learning-oriented attitude when you fail. So if you skip your morning routine one day because of a genuine emergency, the advice isn't to beat yourself up and quit entirely.
No shame spiral.
No shame spiral. It's to treat that lapse as a learning opportunity. Okay, what happened? How could I prepare better next time? And then simply get back on track the very next day. Persistence over perfection.
And that positive reinforcement piece is key too.
Oh, absolutely critical. You have to consciously celebrate the small victories along the way. Acknowledge the fact that you stuck with the 15 minutes of movement for a whole week, or that you successfully tracked your spending for 3 days straight, even if day 4 was messy.
Right.
That deliberate acknowledgement, that self-congratulation, it fuels motivation. And going back to the science, it reinforces those new neural pathways we talked about right at the beginning.
Okay. So, pulling this all together, what does this really mean for you, the listener? Likely juggling a dozen things right now. We've covered 5 core daily habits: intentional morning routines focused on efficiency, daily mindfulness for managing internal stress, simple acts of kindness for strengthening external connections, and daily financial diligence for building stability.
And all of this is tied together by the scientific reality of neuroplasticity, the fact that your brain can and does change based on consistent behavior.
So the core takeaway seems to be remarkable life transformation doesn't have to wait for a lottery win or a month-long retreat.
Not at all. It truly can happen through the consistent commitment to small, intentional daily habits. By committing to these micro acts consistently, perhaps starting with just 30 days, you are literally helping to rewrite your brain for potentially enhanced productivity, greater emotional peace, and stronger connections across your entire life.
So here's a final thought to leave you with, building on that connection piece. If consistent small acts of kindness and presence can actually reduce your stress and strengthen your bonds in just 30 days, what single relationship, maybe at work, maybe at home, could you fundamentally change starting today just by making active mindful listening your absolute first priority every single time you interact with that person? Think about that as you maybe start your own 30-day transformation.